All right, traders, this video is going to prepare you to trade the best setups at the best prices. We're going to be going over the top stocks into this week in both sides of the trade. When to be bullish, when to buy the call options, when to be long biased, when to be bearish, when to be short biased, when to buy the put options. This is going to give you a much better understanding on how the strategies work, what key levels to look for heading into this week, and where you should be trading at. This is going to give you a much better understanding on how to trade both ways. I've identified the stocks that I believe are going to generate the biggest percentage return within the trading options on both ways. And this is going to give you a much better understanding on when to go long and when to go short. Right, so let's get right into it. So in terms of these option setups that I'm going to be referring to, these are going to be for the March 4th expiration date, and we are going to be discussing when to be buying and when to be shorting. And I do want you guys to use the SPY as a guide as well, when you consider buying a stock or shorting a stock, especially the ones that follow the SPY. So with that being said, in terms of my thoughts on the SPY, make sure you go back and watch my previous video, but just to make it short and sweet and just to give you a quick little update, in terms of the SPY, we could potentially see a small pullback early into the week. But with that being said, I strongly do believe in terms of by the end of this week, I think the SPY personally is going to hit $446.60. That's where I believe the SPY is going to be by the end of this week, most likely sooner than later. So in terms of two buying zones, and use these buying zones and confirmations when you're buying other stocks as well that can generate bigger percentage returns than the SPY. You can diversify, or you can just go with one that you feel is going to generate the biggest percentage returns. I'm going to walk you through the charts and you can decide on that. With that being said, consider these two buying zones into this week. 435 is going to be the true micro strength key level. 435 is going to be a high level of interest. This previous support right here, if this can remain to hold and remain to, be strong support, SPY is going to be really on track to quickly ramp up into the week to fill this gap at $446.60. There's actually a gap to fill at 446.60. As you could see on this day, the previous closing price was $446.60. The high of day was $446.50. 57 cents, meaning there's a 3-cent gap that's waiting to fill there, and that's what SPY is on track to do. So in terms of this week, here's going to be your buying zones. 435, if it cracks that, your next buying zone is going to be towards the bottom of these wicks, which is going to be right around $428 to $430. Those are going to be your two potential dip buying zones, right? With that being said, for true micro strength, it needs to stay, if we see this gap down, for true strength, we need to see 437.75 hold up. If not, the next buying zone is going to be at 435. If that can't hold up, the next buying zone is going to be at 428 to 430. Those are going to be your three buying zones, and we're going to see, as the market's opening, on how SPY is responding to those three key levels. So your first key level is the previous closing price, 437.75. Your second key level, which is going to be one of the most important ones in my opinion, 435. And then your third key level, which is going to be make it or break it key breakdown for SPY, 428 to 430. So those are going to be some levels of interest that I'm going to be watching into this week. Now, in terms of stocks that have very nice upside potential where the call options can print along with SPY, as I believe it will rise to 446.60 within time. And when it does hit 446.60, that is going to be my level of interest to buy puts on the SPY and to buy puts on stocks as well, right? So I'm looking for a potential dip buying opportunity into this week in between those zones that I mentioned. I have to see the confirmations heading into market open. That's where the live trade sessions, come available and in handy. With that being said, OCGN is on my radar. This stock had a gap to fill right here at $3.12. It filled the gap. It bottomed out. This is a very bullish confirmation as well. It did have earnings. With that being said, this is showing signs of strength, and it's showing very bullish confirmations that we could see a gap fill play to $4.23, which would be the best level to buy the put options. So if you're serious about making some money, set a price alert at $4.23. Once that gap does fill, if it fills, you see it struggling, you see it react as resistance like you guys recently did within Trader Society with IRNT. Remember, we identified way before we were prepared for this weeks in advance. IRNT had a gap to fill at 680. Once it filled the gap, great opportunity to make 100% return on the puts. And what I'm telling you is, in terms of put options, this is going to be one of the best setups when this stock, if it shoots back up to 423. In the meantime, it is looking very bullish, and it is looking like an opportunity to buy a call. If you see it break out and continue to hold above 315 to 320s, you're going to want to pick up some calls. With this one, I would give yourself a little bit more extra time than March 4th. OCGN is looking very bullish for the micro. In terms of the macro, put opportunity at $4.23. Right now, it's more of a call opportunity to ride for the gap to fill. It really starts to break out when it can turn 350 into support and start to run. That's going to be a high level to trade both ways. Very interested in this stock. Going to be one of the top setups. In terms of Lucid, I currently have no interest in buying. If it can continue to hold up above 25.78, it's going to continue to run. I'm more interested in just waiting for an opportunity to buy some put options on this one. My levels of interest in terms of puts are going to be around 29.50 to 29.80. Right around that zone is going to be my level of interest in terms of put options. In terms of ROKU is looking very bullish. It looks like it is on track to fill this gap. There's a gap to fill at 144.71. If you see that react as a resistance level, this is currently following the SPY very, very strongly. If you see it reacting as a resistance level, then it's going to have a nice little micro pullback. I would not swing trade that though, unless you see a very bearish candlestick on the daily chart. But once you see this react as a support level, 144.71, this gap fill level, it's looking strong. It's turned into support. ROKU is going to fly, and it's really going to start to take off to fill this gap at 168.15, which would be one of the best levels to consider buying put options. So in terms of the meantime, you could look to ride it up for the upside for the gap fill along with SPY. And if you see this starting, if you see this key level right here, this key previous support, you see it starting to turn into actual support, it's looking bullish, you can then buy, ride it back up to fill the next gap, right? So that's kind of how I play ROKU. Our next stock is going to be Moderna. In terms of Moderna, I'm not really interested in buying this one. I'm waiting for a put opportunity. With that being said, this one is a little bit detached from the SPY. There is a gap to fill right here at $161.30. If I see it struggling and reacting as resistance towards that key level, I'll be interested in trading some put options. In terms of AFRM, this one is doing a fairly good job of following the market, of following the SPY. For this to continue to have a very nice run, it needs to stay above $37.80. If you see it holding above $37.80, it's looking bullish. It's starting to break out. This is going to be really on track to run to 45 to 47 this week. And then you also have a gap to fill right here at 58. AFRM is looking very, very bullish along with ROKU for the time being. In terms of IRNT, this one is a bit detached from the market, from the SPY. With that being said, this is looking very, very bearish. I'm going to be keeping this on my radar to potentially buy a put option. With that being said, I kind of want to see how it responds to the previous closing price at 611. If we see it struggling and reacting as a resistance level tomorrow at 611, it's going to be a great opportunity to buy a put option, ride it back down to 520 to make a quick 40% return. That's what I'm going to be looking at on IRNT for some $6 out of money put options, maybe even potentially 550 if that's a strike. Let's see, that is a strike. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking for on IRNT. If we see it showing signs of resistance at 611, I'm going to be interested in a put opportunity on that one. If not, I'm going to wait on the sidelines and wait for a better option to buy a put, which would be towards the more mid 650 to 680 range. AMD is looking very, very bullish, following the SPY here very strongly. With this one, we are on track to fill the gap at $121.47. This is going to be your key level. If you see this stock turn 121.62, the high of this candle right here and the previous closing price right here, if you see this react as a support level, it's breaking out, it's looking strong, it's looking bullish, you're going to want to buy some call options. It should really explode once that happens, and within some time we should really start to see this gap to fill at $132.85 along with that SPY gap fill. AMD has huge potential for some call options. Going to be one of my top setups into this week for sure. So I'm going to be very, very interested in that. In terms of one stock, actually two stocks that are looking very, very oversold right now that are on my radar is going to be PayPal. PayPal is extremely oversold. There was actually a gap to fill right here, as you could see, at $92.39 towards some key support. This was all the way back in March 2020. You can't find a lot of stocks right now that are trading at the pandemic levels of 2020. Most stocks are sitting below, slightly below or at their 52-week lows. PayPal is a different story. This one has really came down. We're talking from 311 all the way to 90. What was it? 90, let's see, 94.50. Like, this is one of those stocks that are just extremely oversold right now, and there's multiple gaps to fill. It tends to, push for new all-time highs over time and fill the gaps, right? There's always that gap fill investing strategy on solid blue chip companies that aren't going anywhere, like Shopify, like PayPal. These are the extremely oversold ones right now. And with that being said, I would show some interest in riding some PayPal call options along with this whole micro idea that SPY is going to fly into this week to fill that gap at 446. With that being said, the key level for calls on a PayPal above 111.41. You see that breakout, you see that turn into support. It's going to fill the gap right here at 115.46. That's going to be your next key level. If 115.56 can break out, then you're looking at 120s. Either way, this is looking very, very good for the short term. Looking very, very bullish and oversold. So I would show some interest in PayPal along with Shopify. Shopify is extremely oversold as well. It's had a massive gap down, a massive sell-off recently. With that being said, this is currently at a key level for a major shift in a trend reversal, and there's multiple gaps to fill. This one could do very, very well along with AMD PayPal call options. What I would look for on this one is the key level right here. This is going to be your key level zone. $662 and $683. Those are your two zones. You see those break out, you see those turn into strong support levels. Shopify is going to fly, and it's going to really start to fill this gap at 747. Once it can break out and turn that into a support level, then it's on track to go to 799. Once 799 breaks out, you're going to see a massive breakout to fill this gap at $800. So with that being said, as of now, your key opportunity is a dip buying opportunity towards the 660s if you can get it, a key breakout opportunity towards 683 to play for this gap to fill above. That reacts to support. You're looking at a retest of this. Another breakout trade opportunity would be when you see this break above $800. That's a key level. It'll explode and it'll fill this gap from nearly $900 a share. So there's multiple trading opportunities from the long side on Shopify. Keep in mind in terms of major pullbacks, when SPY hits 446.60 and if it's reacting as resistance, we're seeing bearish confirmations. These stocks are going to have major pullbacks. They can also have major pullbacks when they fill their gaps. So keep these things in mind in terms of micro price action and locking in profits and potentially even switching sides. In terms of NVDA, for NVIDIA, this is looking very, very bullish. It looks like we're going to be on track for a gap fill play to $265.11. With that being said, for that to happen, for this reversal to continue, we need to see $240 continue to react to support and to continue to break out. If we can get a break above 242, NVIDIA is going to fly. We're really going to start to fill this gap, I think, heading into this week at 265. So those are going to be the top stocks that I am interested in buying this week. And I also explained to you key levels of interest in terms of buying the puts, when they fill their gaps, right? So when NVIDIA fills its higher gap, when these stocks fill their higher gaps, that's going to be my levels of interest in terms of puts. Right now, in terms of overall perspective, in terms of the overall week, in terms of like March 4th expirations, my mindset is kind of, SPY is going to hit this 446 level. So I'm looking to take advantage of call options if we can get a nice dip early into the week. If not, then the key breakout levels, on the SPY, on the stocks that I went over, that's kind of what I'm going to be focused on. But I do believe heading into this week, by the end of this week, I think SPY is going to hit 446, which will cause stocks to have a massive run. And then my high level of interest in terms of buying put options on SPY and then on stocks, when SPY hits 446.60, this should be a phenomenal week I just want you guys to understand in terms of call options, we are at a key critical level, make it or break it level. We could see a little micro downside before the rise, which would be a great dip buying opportunity if that happened. And just keep in mind, these 2 days have been absolutely phenomenal for call options. So I would encourage you to scale back position sizing a little bit, as if you do decide to buy, you will be buying at much higher levels than previously. And they've already had very nice overreactions, very nice micro runs. They still should continue to run. I'm thinking something potential like this, but we could see a small little pullback before this big move. But this is kind of what I'm looking at. So more upside, right? So with that being said, I would scale back in size. These are great setups to fill the gaps. Just understand you're buying towards the middle of the channel, not 100% at the best prices compared to last week. So I would encourage you to scale back position size a little bit. And then in terms of your next decently amazing, phenomenal position size trade, that would be more on the put side when we can get back towards some key resistance levels. But overall, guys, these are going to be some great setups. We got some great oversold stocks heading into this week. I'm looking very forward to trading these both ways with you guys within Trader Society. If you do want to be a part of Trader Society, you get to watch me trade live every single day at market open. You get access to the chat room. You get access to one-on-one direct messaging with me and the members within there. You also get access to the video lesson library. It's lifetime access. It's a one-time fee. There's no recurring subscription. It's going to be the first link down below in the description. You can get instant access as soon as you sign up, and you can start trading with us live at market open as soon as tomorrow morning. With that being said, I'm looking forward to crushing it once again with you guys. I will see you tomorrow live at market open.